Okay, so we'll start. Last time we ended at verse 26. We'll start with the verse 27. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنهم كانوا لا يرجون حسابا. نعم. إن كانوا لا يرجون حسابا. So the translations we have is verily they used not to look for a reckoning. Okay, and then we have for they did not fear a reckoning. So this type of sentence we've seen many times already, right? So this is a style where we have inna and kana in the same sentence, right? So again, we'll go a little bit fast. So inna, we have inna here and we have whom. So the whom is what? They. So innahum is verily or indeed they. So inna is your harf nasikh. And the whom would be ism inna, because if we didn't have inna, we would have sentence whom kanu la yarjuna hisaba. Okay, so that would have been your mubtada. And then when inna comes, especially with the pronouns, we mentioned that inna and pronouns we have to combine them. So we say innahum. So they indeed they kanu they were. And why we have kanu? Last time we had kana, we had kanat, now we have kanu. Now, as you can see, the verb kana, even though it is naqis, incomplete verb, it does take, just like a normal verb, it does take all of your conjugations. You have to conjugate based on your file. So here file is whom. Okay, well, here's a wow, but it is connected to plural. So they were la yarujuna. Okay, la we already know. No, it negates a present tense verb. La yarjuna. Yarjuna comes from the verb raja. Raja yarju. Raja yarju. Raja yarju has few different meanings. The most common meaning would be hope. And it is another meaning which is also used often, which is to expect. Expect. Okay, it has other meaning as well. So most of the time, I think when we say Raja, we think about the meaning of hope. And the meaning that we have here is the closest meaning they're translating here is as expecting, to expect something, meaning to hope something. So it's Allah saying they're not hoping, they're not expecting. Another thing to quickly note that when you have a verb in the present tense, the ending, okay, is a verb, when you're ending with alif, the present tense verb, it will always be wow. Okay. And if alif meaning this stick alif, sorry, what I meant is the stick alif, then the present tense verb will be wow. And if it has the ya alif, then the present tense verb will have ya. فهمتم? So yabana yabni. So you said bana, write nicely. Okay, so you see the stick alif. This is not okay. Then the present tense verb will be what? Yabni. With ya. And when you have a stick alif, the present tense verb will be waw. Something to keep in your mind. Now, so indeed they were not expecting hisaba. So what is hisab? Hisab is a count, counting or reckoning. Okay, so both of these meanings are good. فهمتم? There's one interesting thing here though, which is a little bit different than before, which is something to keep in mind. When we have kana that comes after or before a present tense verb, if we have a present tense verb following by a kana, then we will get the meaning of something that a continuation, something that used to happen in the past. Because what does the kana do? Kana makes a nominative sentence into a past, right? So if I say ana صغير, I am small, but if I say kuntu صغيرا, that means I was small. So simply making nominative sentence into a past tense. But if we have a verb here, then it would mean that something used to happen, something that was happening continuously in the past. Okay, so here the translation would be they were not used to expecting. So that means there it wasn't something that they're doing continuously. Okay, so they used not to. So you will get this kind of meaning, used to. Kana yaktubu. He used to write. That means he was writing in the past. فهمتم? Now, verily, they were not expecting any account of what they are doing. So this is Allah is rebuking them for that, that they were not concerned about their action. They were not expecting it, did not think they will be held accountable. Make sense? Now the next verse we have وَكَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِنَا كِذَّابًا وَكَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِنَا كِذَّابًا. The meaning is they belied our ayah. Belied means that they denied, they lied, they rejected. And then said, then we have all this parenthesis. That's why one of the good things about Hilali, especially if you take the one with the annotation of the tafsir, they give you a lot of extra information. But in this class, I don't want to read them, but something that you can read. Then he also said completely. So they belied our ayah, meaning our verses, completely. So here, uh, the reason why he made a little bit annotation because the ayah can mean many things. Ayah can mean verse, meaning the Quran itself. Ayah can mean the signs, all the signs that Allah is giving them to believe. Ayah can also mean proof. So there are a lot of meaning behind ayah. So this is good that he pointed them out. And then Abdul Halim he says, and they rejected our messages as lies. Now, so wow is a harf al-atf, and the verb that we have is كذب. كذب. كذب يكذب. Remember one thing, most of the verb in the present tense will have a fatha. ذهب يذهب. Okay? But only exception is when the verb is four letter. Any four letter verbs, the present tense will always start with a dhamma. So this is a four letter verbs because we have to what? To the. So what would be the present tense verb? You say you say يكذب. يكذب. كذب يكذب. And also we have another four letter verb, like for example, أفعل. أفعل. This is four letter. So what would be the present tense verb? يفعل. يفعل. Other than these two types of verbs, أفعل form and فعل form, all the verbs, present tense verb will start with a fatha. Okay? Now, because the reason why I'm mentioning it, because you might get confused with the mabni lil majhul. We learned that mabni lil majhul, it starts with a dhamma. So you have to recognize and you have to be a little bit careful with the haraka to see whether it is mabni lil majhul or it is a simple present tense verb with four letter. So this is a plural, kadzabu, that means they. By the way, where does this one come from? This is a form two. We talked about this form two, fa'ala. It comes from kadhaba yakzibu. Kadhaba, kadhaba yakzibu means to lie. So this is in tense form, but here when you lie something that you're lying, here the meaning, actually the closest meaning that we use this form is to deny. You're lying about something and you're denying. So that's why we have this meaning here. وَكَذَّبُوا. So this is a plural, past tense. So they denied and they denied. بِآيَاتِنَا. بِآيَاتِنَا. So we have harful jar bi. Okay. Bi, as you know, the standard meaning is with, okay, with ayah. This is a plural of ayah, verse or sign, as we just saw the translation. And this is a feminine, sound feminine plural. We add alif and ta, and then we make it into a plural. So this is the verse. There's a three letters actually. You have a B, we have ayah, and then we have na. What is this? What is this na? Is our. This is mudaf, mudaf ilayhi. So a lot of things going on here, honestly. This is harful jar. Then this is ism majrur. After harful jar, we have ism majrur. So this is kasra because this one is ism majrur. And then this is also mudaf. Okay, this is also what? Mudaf. And then na is mudaf ilayhi. That means our sign. Mudaf, mudaf ilayhi. Our sign. So that is what's going on here. Then we have kidhaba. Kidhaba. Okay, yes. So here it would be connected to kadhabu. In fact, this would be a maful bihi, but with maful bihi with harful jar. Okay, sometimes you can have maful bihi with harful jar. Because they denied what? We're saying they denied what? Here you cannot even translate. Like look, as you can see, we're not translating. They're denied with our signs. Here it seems like a direct object. They denied our signs. So here the meaning is more like a maf'ul bihi. Then we have kidhaba. Kidhaba is here translated as denial. So what is kidhab? Kidhab is actually a verbal noun of kadhaba. Now, if you know this form, the form to fa'ala, the fa'ala, its masdar is very easy to make. Most of the verb forms from 2 all the way to 10, their masdar is something that we can predict. These are qiyasi, meaning we know what's the masdar going to be. But the form 1 masdar is something that we have to memorize. There isn't any good pattern. I mean, there are pattern, but there are a lot of them. It's not easy to memorize this pattern. So the masdar of fa'ala is taf'il. Taf'il. So this is the most common masdar. So for example, here for kadhaba, it would be takdhib. Kadhaba yukadhibu takdhiban. So that would be takdhib would be the masdar, the verbal noun. But kidhab is also a verbal noun. And this is sama'i. That means this verb, this masdar is not something that we learn from qiyas, from analogy, from the rule. This is something that we heard from the Arabs. Okay. Now, as soon as I say this is a masdar, kidhab, and we see that its verb is right sitting up here, kadhabu, then as you pointed out, the first thing that should come in your mind, and you see that this is a mansub, that it is what? Maf'ul mutlaq, something that we talked about already in the last class. Maf'ul mutlaq is very easy to recognize when it comes in standard form. So sometimes it has a little bit of variations. But here, when you have the verb and its masdar coming as mansub, that's it. This is your maf'ul mutlaq. And what does it do? I already mentioned to you, one of its job is to intensify, to confirm, to make more stronger. Okay? So what Allah is saying is that they denied our signs with denial, meaning a strong. That's why he mentioned the word completely here. And it is a good translation. But they denied our signs completely. There's no word for completely, but it is coming from the maf'ul mutlaq. Very, very interesting. I love the way of maf'ul mutlaq is sometimes used. It's very interesting. No, I think that's fine here. The next verse we have وَكُلَّ شَيْءٍ أَحْصَيْنَاهُ كِتَابًا وَكُلَّ شَيْءٍ أَحْصَيْنَاهُ كِتَابًا. Okay, so this verse might this verse is a little bit complicated. Okay, so we will have to spend A little bit time in here. The meaning we have, and all things we have recorded in a book. And he says we have recorded everything in a record. Similar translation, but the grammar is a little bit complicated here. Uh, we have kulla. Kullun means what? Every. Kullu can be every or all. The rule of kullu, by the way, kull usually will come as mudaf. Okay, kullu will usually come as a mudaf. Then the next word would be mudaf ilayhi, something that we have here, right? But if after kullu, if we have a singular noun, then we will translate as every. So for example, we have kulla shay'in. So shay is what is a singular, then we will translate as every. But after kull, if we have plural ashya, then we will translate as all things. Okay, makes sense? So after kull, if we have plural, then we usually tend to translate as all things. So keep that in mind. So everything. Shay, you should know it means thing. Then we have ahsaynahu. Ahsaynahu. The verb is ahsa. Ahsa. Yuhsi. Ahsa yuhsi. And you know this is a four-letter verb, so so the present tense would be what? With the dhamma. Yuhsi. Yes, this is the four. So ahsa, it means to count or to to consider, to count something. Okay, to record, to count something. Okay. So, but what is who is the doer? Where is the file here? Who is recording something? Huh? Yes, naam, ahsanti. So the na, this is the na of ta'zim. Remember we talked about this na is Allah, but this is for royal we. So the na is the file. So ahsayna. So here is one part. So this is one part. Ahsa. Then when we add the file, then we say ahsayna. Now we are we are recording what? So what is the object? What is the maf'ul bihi? What is the maf'ul bihi? Who? Yes. So this is the maf'ul bihi. So as you can see, subhanallah, one word, you have complete sentence with the door and object, everything. So we counted it. Now this who, where does it go to? The pronoun should, go back to something. It goes to where? Kulla shay. Everything. It goes back to shay, kulla shay. Okay, and this is a singular, kulla shay. We're saying every, we're not saying all things, we're saying everything. That's why we're using who as a singular. Okay, so we counted, we recorded it, meaning kulla shay, everything. Then we have kitaba. Kitab is a book. Now we have a question. Why do we have a fatha here? Why is it a mansub? Hmm? What do you think? Maf'ul bihi two. Good guess, but this is one is also tricky. Before I come here, first let me talk about why do we have a fatha here? Hmm? Why do we have fatha here? Kulla shay. Why isn't it kullu shay'in? It should have been kullu shay'in. Why do we have fatha here? Maf'ul. Okay, so maf'ul of what? Hmm? This one is tricky. It is, let's look at from what it actually is, and then we'll look into how does the grammarian want to say, and why they say it like this. Actual context-wise is very simple. As you were pointing out, this is maf'ul bihi. We record everything. So you recorded what? Recorded everything. So that means this should be the maf'ul bihi. But we have a problem here. We have few problem. Number one, this maf'ul bihi is preceding the verb. That is not the main problem is we already have a maf'ul bihi for this one. We have ahsaynahu. We already have the maf'ul bihi. And this is the same thing. So we cannot say this is maf'ul bihi too, because they one in the same thing, right? So now they get into trouble. So what will they say? They will say that this is maf'ul bihi of a hidden verb. This is maf'ul bihi of hidden verb. And I'll explain why they say that. First of all, what is the hidden verb then? Yeah, you said it, hidden verb. That's good, good guess. And it is indeed, they will say it is maf'ul bihi of hidden verb. And what is the hidden verb? Huh? Yes, hidden verb is this same verb itself. This is the verb. So what they want to say, we have to make an assumption that we have another ahsa. So ahsayna kulla shay. We can say ahsayna kulla shay. Then we say ahsaynahu, because the problem that I'm mentioning. We have this is a style. This is not something, crazy. This is one of the linguistic device. This is one of the style that we use in the language. We bring something first, then we talk about it. So for example, I can say, I saw my sister yesterday, right? But I can emphasize on my sister. Then I can say, my sister, I saw her yesterday. My sister, I saw her yesterday. You see? So this is a style. Quran is a linguistic, it's a literature book. So Allah is using very sophisticated styles here. But for our Arab, we cannot say maf'ul bihi, because as I mentioned to you, we'll have a problem because we have a maf'ul bihi already. So what they will do, this is very common. You will see them this type of Arab a lot. They will say this is maf'ul bihi of hidden verb. Okay, فعل محذوب, and يفسره مع بعده. They will say يفسره مع بعده. That means what is the hidden verb? It will be explained after. And this is the verb that is explaining what it is. So this Arab you'll see a lot. So this one makes sense. Now we know why this is maf'ul bihi, because this is fatha mansub, because it is maf'ul bihi to a hidden verb, and which verb is the same thing as this one. Now the question is, what is kitab? Why the kitab is mansub? Hmm? This is also tricky. There are two opinions for this. One of the opinion is that this is hal. Now, why do they say this is hal? We talked about hal, and remember, hal is a state of when the action is being done, and then hal can explain the state of the doer, and it can also explain the state of the object. So here they want to say that this is a hal of the state of object. So when Allah is recording it, what is the state? How is he recording it? He's recording it by writing. Okay, as a writing. So the emphasis here is that recording is being done by writing. So this is one explanation. But there's another opinion. I think that one makes more sense to me, but that one is a little bit complicated. The other opinion is that this one is maf'ul mutlaq also. Okay, this is maf'ul mutlaq. Now, you might be scratching your head thinking, how is that maf'ul mutlaq? Because I just mentioned to you the maf'ul mutlaq uses the what do you call the verbal noun masdar of the verb itself. So you have kadhabu, then you have kidhab. But here we don't have the verb of kataba. So how is that? Where is the verb for this one in order to consider this is maf'ul mutlaq? Here you have to know, some of you are asking about what are the advanced topics and everything. So this is one of the advanced topic of maf'ul mutlaq, is that it can be ma'nawi. Maf'ul mutlaq can be also from the meaning perspective, as long as the verb and the masdar, the actual verb like this verb and the masdar, their meaning are similar. So for example, if I say dhahaba Muhammadun. Muhammadun went, okay, dhahaban. once we have ذهابا and you say ذهب, then you know this is a masdar. I mean مفعول مطلق. But if I say ذهب محمد سيرا. Sayran. What is sayr? We already talked about, I think. Sara is to also move, to go. It has the same meaning as dhahaba. You get this? So now I'm using a masdar of another verb which has the similar meaning. So then in this situation, yes, this situation, it would be you can consider that as a maf'ul mutlaq also. Exactly. So writing and record is the same meaning. It has the same meaning. And this is not uncommon also. This is also not super common, but writers, they do this. Okay, so this is another technique you can do. فهمتم? So we have this kind of variation. And this is also possible. And this one also can make sense. That here Allah is emphasizing. Interestingly, meaning will be in English, when you translate, the meaning will be kind of similar, but if you understand this, just making this little bit adjustment into the grammatical role, you'll see the meaning has a little bit slight variation. If we say this is hal, then you're thinking about Allah's mentioning that he when he recorded, it was recorded in in written form. That would be your understanding. That the thought will come to your mind. But if you read this one as a mutlaq, maf'ul mutlaq, then your mind is focused on that. Allah is saying that we have written it, we have recorded it. So here's more emphasis. Your mind will come with more emphasis, that Allah is making more emphasis that we have written everything. Kulla shay'in, everything we have recorded. So we have the emphasis that we recorded everything. فهمتم? So, subhanAllah, these are the things you cannot get from the translation. Absolutely, absolutely not. Now, so the next verse we have فَذُوقُوا فَلَن نَّزِيدَكُمْ إِلَّا عَذَابًا فَذُوقُوا فَلَن نَّزِيدَكُمْ إِلَّا عَذَابًا. We'll just go directly to the word for word, okay? We'll go directly to the word for word. So we have fa. We'll see what type of fa it is after we go through it. Then we have ذوقوا. I think we had this verb ذاق يذوق is to taste. ذاق يذوق ذوق. يذوق يذوق. Here's what ذوق ذوق. So this one is actually command verb. Yes. So finally, subhanallah, we see a command verb. So command verb, as you know, in Arabic, we have three types of verbs. We have فعل ماضي, then we have فعل مضارع. فعل ماضي is the past tense, فعل مضارع is the present tense, and فعل أمر is a command verb. So the reason why the Arabs distinguish the command verb into a different form is because it has a completely different structure. Okay, so we have ذهب is the past tense. يذهب uh, يذهب is the present tense, and its command is اذهب. اذهب. See, there are different forms. That's why they separate. This is one of the primary division of the verbs. Okay, you have ماضي, مضارع, and And I'm not going to talk about how do we make into this is subhanallah, something that you have to learn them from the textbooks. Okay, you have to learn them from the textbook. For this one, because of huruf al-illa, if you study the weak verbs, I always tell my students, we call it weak verbs, but subhanallah, they give us a lot of hard time. The weak verb has a lot of complication with conjugations. So some changes happen. That's why command verb, we say ذوق, to taste. So this one would be your plural. So you are telling more than two people to taste. So this is a plural of the verb ذوق. فهمتم? So taste. This is a command verb, taste. And then we have another fa, and we have lan. فَلَن نَزِيدَكُمْ إِلَّا عَذَابًا. So what is lan? Before we come to lan, let's look at this verb. We have nazidakum. The verb is what? Verb is zada yazidu. What does it mean? Huh? Yazidu. Zada yazidu means to increase. Yes, ahsant. Increase. So what is nazid? Nazidu, it means we increase. So this noon means we. And what is kum here then? Kum is maf'ul bihi. We increase you. Okay? Here, if we just read this part, it means we increase you. But now let's go back to the word lan. Lan is a harf that negates the future tense. We had la that negates the present tense. We have ma that negates the past tense. And then we also learned about lam, which negates the past tense, but using present tense verb. Yes? Was something that we talked about. And then we have lan, which negates the future tense. So except for this one, all of these will use the present tense verb, fi'l mudari. So lan will tell you that something will not happen in the future. If I say lan adhab, I'm going to leave this part alone for now. Adhab, that means I'm saying I will not go. And usually the lan is very strong. It's not like mere, you're saying you will not go. It has a little bit strong tone. Yes, it has this tone of never, like you will not go. A very strong tone. And if we without lan, how do you say I go? Adhabu. But lan also has grammatical impact. This is one of the four main nawasib, huruf and nawasib. One of the main one. Okay, so this will make the present tense verb into a mansub. So we say lan adhaba. Lan adhaba. I will not never go. So the main fourth is an. For example, you say uridu an adhaba. An adhaba. Okay. Then another one is lan. Then another one is kai. Kai adhaba. You can say kai adhaba. So that means you're doing something. Kai means the reason why you're doing something. Kai adhaba. I'm doing something because I want to go. And you have idan. Idan. An lan kai idan. These are the main huruf that makes a present tense verb into mansub. But in this surah, we saw another one which was the harful jar li. We had the li, but we mentioned to you when we were explaining that when we have a li, there is a hidden an behind the scene. So we say li an. So who's doing the action? The an is doing the action. Most of the time, when you see there are present tense verb with mansub and it's not one of these four, the an is working behind the scene. These are the things that you will learn or you learned in the grammar class. Okay. Now, that's why we have nazida. Nazida. Here we don't have nazidukum. Should have been nazidukum. We increase you, but because of the lan, we say nazidakum. Okay, nazidakum. Illa is what we already talked about is except harf istithna, and then we have adaban. Adab is punishment, and we have to know why this is mansub as well. Let me see before I go there. Did I miss anything here or not? Maybe not. So maybe we can talk about this one. Now, let me see my advanced students. Why do you think we have mansub here? Why this word is mansub? Mustathna. Oh, uh, good thinking. Because subhanallah, I'm telling you, the illa, the istithna is really complicated because it has many different rules. The rules are basically, because I mentioned to you last time, huruf al-istithna, one set of rule is by what tool are you using? Are you using illa or using one of the other five tools that we have? Then when you do illa, you have to think about what's before it, what's before illa. So what's before illa will tell you what would be the i'rab of this one. So there are a lot of permutations. Number one, the best case scenario is that you have a complete sentence. ذهب الطلاب, so that means this is a complete sentence. The student went. Or you have incomplete sentence. ذهب, then you say illa. You have something incomplete. Or do you have a negation? ما ذهب. So there's a lot of different rules based on what you have previously. Its i'rab will be according to that. So what we have here is you have previous one is negative. That means it is not positive statement. It is a negative statement, and plus it is incomplete. ناقص. So when you have negative, where do we get the negative from? The lan we just talked about. The lan is it negates the future. So if the previous, what's before illa, if it is a negative statement, not a positive statement, and it is incomplete, then what happens is that after illa, it will take the place of the same thing as the mustathna. So what is the mustathna here? Because what is Allah saying? That we will not increase except punishment. So increase what? Increase you. So this is where this adab is connected. And subhanallah, there's another thing I need to mention, but I really don't want to bring this topic to more discussion, because when you do an exception, you also have to see what you're making exception from. Are they in the same category? So for example, I can give an example. If I say all the student came except for a donkey. Subhanallah. So are the donkey and the student there in the same category? No, they're not. So you're making an exception of what you're making exception from something, but with some completely different category. So there's a rule for that as well. Okay. So in this kind of situation, what happens is that the i'rab would be the same thing where you're making an exception from. So the kum was what? Hmm? Maf'ul bihi, yes. So this will also be a maf'ul bihi. Allah al-Musta'an. So this will be maf'ul bihi. Makes sense, guys? A little bit complicated? Yes, yes, yes. The next verse is Inna lil muttaqina mafaza. Inna lil muttaqina mafaza. So simple stuff. Inna, we talked about this, harf nasikh, and it comes into a jumlatun ismiya. If I say jumlatun ismiya, tell me where is the mubtada? This is a little bit tricky here. Where is the mubtada? Which one is mubtada? And where is khabar then? So mubtada is hidden? Not really. This is the mubtada. So it would have been lil muttaqina mafazun. Okay? So original statement was mafazun lil muttaqina. Okay? Because why? The mubtada, that's why it's called mubtada, meaning it comes in the beginning. Ibtada, right? It is the beginning. So the mubtada should always come first, then should come the khabar. So why is mubtada mutaakhir here and khabar mutaqaddim? Why? Nakira, ahsanti. So in Arabic, we have a rule that mubtada cannot be, or a sentence cannot start with indefinite noun. A sentence cannot start with an indefinite noun. It may if it has at least more additional information, either by an adjective or by indefinite mudaf ilayhi. Just by mere indefinite word, a sentence should not start. And because we have the mubtada is indefinite, here we have to switch the order. We have to bring the khabar first and then bring the mubtada uh, after it. Okay, so this is called fronted predicate khabar mutaqaddim. Fahimtum? So this is your mubtada. And now you will know why this one is mansub. Why this one is mansub? Huh? Because of inna. Inna always makes mubtada into mansub and it is called ism inna, and khabar remains marfu. And because this is shibh jumla, we will say fi mahal raf khabar inna. فهمتم? It will be in the place of raf state, which is the khabar of inna. Make sense? Now, subhanallah, I should have go word for word first, but let's do it now. So the muttaqin, it is singular is uh, muttaqi. We already talked about this kind of word, muttaqin. This is also ismu manqus. We talked about ismu manqus, that if it is indefinite form, it will take a tanween of kasra, like qadin, madin. But as soon as you have alif and lam, then what happens? The ya will come back. The ya will come back. Okay, ya al-muttaqi. And this is a plural, so we say we add waw noon muttaquna. And now tell me, why do we have ya and noon? Because we said ya and noon could be for jar or nasab state. This is very easy. This is majrur because of harful jar li. This is majrur. Now, so what is mafaz? Comes from the verb faza yafuzu. What does faza yafuzu means? Is to be success. Yes, accent success. To be success. So what form is this one? Mafaz. It has a two one. I'll just mention one of them. It could be either one of the two, but I'll mention the one which makes sense here. That this is ism makan, the one that we had, ism makan, the noun of the place. So remember we had sajada, masjid. Okay, so this is the same form. So here we are talking about a place of the success. So if the faza yafuzu, it means to be success, then mafaz would be the place where the success happens. So that's what we have here. So Allah is saying for the righteous people, muttaqin. Muttaqin comes from, I told you, it comes from ittaqa. The verb is ittaqa. Ittaqa. So Allah is mentioning that for the righteous people, the people with piety, or even more better translation would be God fearing, God conscious, because to have taqwa is to be fear of God in a sense that you are aware of God. So these type of people, they have a place of success. If Allah says for the righteous people there is a place, see, this is not a good translation here. Uh this translation would be if you think that this is masdar mimi, but better would be that to think this is a place of where the success happened. So if Allah is saying for the righteous people is a place where the success happens, so what is this place Allah is talking about? Hmm? Jannah, Ahsanti, yes. And that's why the paradise comes here. Next verse we have Hadaiqa wa a'naba. Hadaiqa wa a'naba. What is Hadaiq? From the Hadiqa, hmm? Garden. And what is wa'anab from inab? What is inab? Grapes. Yes, grapevines. Now, so these are both of them what? Plural. Hadika, plural is hadaiq. And remember, hadaiq, it is mamnu min as-sarf. This is one of the pattern. Anybody knows what pattern is that? Muntahal jumu'. This is one of the pattern when you have a plural that comes in this from, like masajid, mafatih, hadaiq, mafa'il. When it comes in this kind of pattern, then it will also be mamnu' min as-sarf. What does it mean? Cannot have a tanween. You cannot have tanween. Whereas you see a'nab, you have a tanween here because this is not a mamnu' min as-sarf. Now, so why this one is mansub? Hmm? What do you think? Maf'ul? Maf'ul of what? Hmm? Or in order to be a maf'ul, We need a verb. I don't see any verb. Sifa? Sifa of what? Sifa of what? So the way that they say it, because as a grammarian, if we are a grammarian, we're trying to study grammar or at least analyzing grammar right now, you have to think from the grammar perspective. What are the tools we have in our mind? What are the tools we have? So we have to go through all of these tools and you have to see which one makes sense. Yes, here the badal will make sense because it is replacing this mafaz, this place of success with garden. Okay, so the place of success is the garden. So as you know, the Jannah is all about gardens. So we always interchange the garden. Let's not even, subhanallah, let's not even using the word Jannah here. He's using very interesting terms, and that's why this badal also makes sense. So it will be considered as badal. And the Irab of the badal is what is mabdul minhu, whatever it is making the exchange from. This was mansub, so this would be mansub. You cannot say this is ism inna because ism inna is this one. You have to say this is badal. And the next one is even easy. So why is this one in mansub state? Hmm? Ma'tuf, yes. You see wow, that's it. Your life becomes much easier. As soon as you see wow or thumma or fa, your life becomes easier. So this would be ma'tuf. And ma'tuf, it simply copies what it is being added to. So you see the chain? This one, this mansub goes back to the inna. This hada, it goes back to this word, subhanallah. And this one goes back to this one. These are the beauty of i'rab. Now, so let's go to the next verse. The next verse we have wa kawa'iba atraba. Wa kawa'iba atraba. So what is Allah is saying here? So these are Allah is addressing our young man. Subhanallah. So the word comes from ka'ib. Ka'ib. Usually the word ka'ib, it is described for women, young women. I'll explain why this word doesn't have ta marbuta, although this word is used for the women, young women. But this word also has a little bit of not just young women. Young means fatatun, but it has it's describing women who is in their youth with like full figure, like it talks about their bosoms is full, and so it has this kind of visual. So you're talking about the ideal imaginations of men, I suppose. So this word itself has this element. So when you describe a word like that, then there's no need to put tamarbota because the description itself is indicating that this is a female. And that's why precisely why we don't have tamarbota for the word hamil. What does hamil means? Huh? Hamil has a lot of different meanings. Yeah, a carrier from hamala. But in a context, when we say hamil to a lady, it means a pregnant woman. She is carrying a baby. Yes, but inside, not carrying baby outside, meaning she's pregnant. So hamil is used for a pregnant woman. So why would I use tamarbuta here? Because only female are pregnant. So you see how, subhanAllah, how precise the Arabic language. They don't waste a haraka, they don't waste a letter. If something is understood, they will not just put anything for no reason. So this is a similar form. Okay. So this word itself has this meaning, youth, young women. Okay, full figure. So this is the plural. Okay, this is plural, and this is also mamnu min as-sarf. It has the same form. Masajid, mafa'il. Make sense? And we have atraba. Tirb. I saw this one, it comes in tirb or tarb. I think both of them will probably make sense. It talks about what is the term? Meaning something in the same age. You have someone with the same age. We use this word so when we talk about the same age or something similar in age. فهمتم? So here, this is also plural. So tirb, you say atrab. So it is talking about a young women. Okay, small age young women. So as you can see, just by our translation, we know this is what this is, an adjective phrase. This part is an adjective because this is plural. This is plural. This is indefinite. This is indefinite. And this is mansub, and this is also mansub. So this is an adjective phrase. Now, last question from here is why do we have a fatha here? We know why we have fatha here because once we say this is an adjective, sifa, then we know it will just copy from the noun. So why we have fatha here? Easy, easy. Yes. As soon as you see wow, that's it. You know, your life becomes easy. Just go back to the word before it, and then your life is easy. Make sense? So we'll just do one more, and then we will wrap up. So by the way, what is Allah saying? Allah is saying here is that Allah is describing what Allah is describing the garden, meaning the Jannah, Mafaz, the place where the success people will be in. So they will have a garden, they will have grapevines, they will have young women in the same age. SubhanAllah, one hadith is coming to my mind when one old lady came to Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and asked him to make dua for her so that she can enter in Jannah. And subhanallah, Prophet ﷺ made a joke saying to her that old people do not enter Jannah. And then she started crying. And then Prophet ﷺ called her and says, they will they will become young and then they will enter Jannah. Okay, so that is what Allah is describing. So they will be, all of them will be young and they will enter Jannah. Last verse, wa ka'san dihaqa. Wa ka'san dihaqa. So ka'as is cup, glass. Okay, cup and glass. And that's why when you say World Cup, they will say ka'as. Ka'sul alam. Alam is the world. Ka'as is a cup. So they simply just glue them together and say ka'sul alam, World Cup. And dihaqa, yes, dihaq is a full. It means to be full, but it has a little bit different meaning also. It's not just a full. It usually talks about full when something is full to the max, and then if you add more, then it will overflow. Just think about this. The choice of word can give so much meaning. You know, you're seeing the full, but you know, it can mean something else. But this word has a little bit of added information. You're feeling to the, you know, you're just feeling it all the way to the top. So here Allah is describing what? A full cup. And from the tafsir, you will understand Allah here referring to wine. But those wine of the Jannah, it will not intoxicate your mind. Last question, and we'll end here. Why do we have a fatha here? Easy, easy, easy. Matuf. You see, wow, it is matuf. So all is being cut added. And. And why this one is mansub? Hmm? Adjective. Okay, this is an adjective. It's describing full cup. Okay, not now. It is a full cup.